Welcome. Well, welcome everybody. Great to be with you. If you haven't heard Happy New Year enough, I'll say it one more time. Happy New Year. It's 2023, and it's going to be a great year for business ownership. We're delighted you could join us. We're going to be, really, if you are feeling concerned, in a kind of on your heels, maybe thinking, let's wait and see. We're going to give you some good reasons to really think about going the other way and leaning into it and finding the opportunities. I'm so glad that we've got three of our really valuable top shelf franchisor partners joining us today from three recession resistant categories. And that's Timothy, Chris, and Peter. And we'll be introducing them a little bit later in the program to share with you a bit about their model and their category. Blair's gonna, well, hello, Blair. How are you? He's gonna bring us home at the end about how you can, take a step forward in this process. And so let me let Blair introduce himself. Blair, thanks for being here.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Blair. I mainly help people here in the state of Oregon, the state of Idaho, and a little bit in Alaska. I've been with FranNet for 25 plus years. I've literally helped hundreds of people go into franchise ownership over those years, a lot of them starting from a simple educational webinar such as this. I'm also one of the principals of the parent company. I own other franchises as well, so I'm a multi-unit franchisee of different franchises, and I'm a firm believer in franchising. I was born and raised into it, and I just think it's an awesome business model, and I think it's awesome that I'm able to help people get into franchising as well. So I look forward to working with many of you.
Thanks, Blair. Great to have you. And Blair is the one that really got me into the space of franchise consulting and matchmaking. He's one of the greats in the business at it. And I'm just starting my second decade as a franchise consultant with FranNet, 20 plus year experience prior to that in retail, optical, and hearing care, both in franchise organizations. And I'm excited to also be affiliated now with IBA, which is the oldest small market, mid-market business brokerage in the Northwest. So great to be with you. I'm calling in today from Marysville, Washington. Blair's from Bend, Oregon, and our friends are scattered around the rest of the country. But let me kick it back to you, Blair.
Gotcha. So what does FranNet do? So basically, FranNet, we help match people up with the right franchises after properly educating them on franchise ownership. So we're big believers in education. We're big believers in people going into this process kind of eyes wide open. Because look, business ownership is not easy. If it was, everybody would be doing it. It's also kind of a scary decision. But if you follow our process correctly, you go with our advice, you go with the other experts other than FranNet to help you get this done, to help you dot your I's and cross your T's, you'll make a safe and wise decision. And the franchisors that are on this call will probably agree that, hey, the candidates that come from FranNet, that come from the broker networks are very well educated. They know what they're doing, compared to somebody just making a one-off inquiry. The good thing about our services is that they are free of charge. We are paid by the franchisors. We work with many, many franchisors in many different industries. The way to think of us is think of us kind of an executive recruiter for the franchising industry. And like I said, our job is to help match you with the right franchises based on who you are, your background, your skill sets, your goals, your criteria. Usually our clients will look at multiple franchises at any given point in time. And like I said, we'll coach you through the whole research process so you can make a safe and wise decision. I'm sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
No, you're right on the money.
Yep. So we really want to provide kind of a safe, methodical, strategic approach to selecting the right fit. Charlie at the end will go over kind of our process and how we do that. Kind of the tools and methodologies that we have. And like I said, this can be a big, scary decision, but we're here to help you out. We're here to hold your hand, and to help you make a good, safe, wise decision.
Yeah, thanks, Blair. Appreciate it. So if you join today, it could be for any number of different reasons. It might be that you're someone who works with prospective business owners as a service provider, as an advisor. Maybe you are, looking at 2023 as, this is going to be your year to become your own boss. But I think it's worth just looking over our shoulder briefly. Look what we've been through over the last couple of years. A pandemic, the great resignation, the great reshuffling, the ongoing quiet quitting, which really is not leaving your job, but just deciding that you're going to put the least amount of effort possible into your work. In other words, you're totally disengaged with what you're doing. Retirement, offboarding, reimagining, midlife curiosity. There's been so much that's been happening. And I think the bottom line coming out of that is, for many people, is this: a traditional corporate job isn't always the best way to reach your career goals, especially for those with the desire to be their own boss. And if you're going to be your own boss, you need to understand your business ownership options, and franchising is one of them, and that's what we're going to focus on. I think regardless of franchising, startup entrepreneurs, people that buy existing businesses, there's certain trademarks of those who are successful. And you can go back as far as you need to prove the point. But they're resilient, they're optimistic, they're nimble, and they find opportunities in the midst of turmoil. So let me say this first. Yes, there are some headwinds in 2023. The prospect of a recession, higher inflation than we've had in a long time, a tight labor market, still somewhat unreliable supply chain in some cases. We're getting over the pandemic. And despite those elements, there are great opportunities in the marketplace in 2023. And some sectors are going to have a better year than others under those economic conditions. If you were looking at entertainment or lifestyle or, convenience businesses, there might be some reason to pause, though I'm not even sure that's true. But there's signals for strength ahead. Our holiday in-person retail in the US was up 17% over the year before, and e-commerce was still flat. There's all kinds of interesting and creative incentives for attracting and retaining team members, and franchisors are doing a great job to aid in this regard. Entrepreneurs are improving communication with their customers, their customer experience. They're getting more engaged with their community. They're focused on managing costs, which is another area where a franchisor can offer a huge value. There's a continuing decade-long trend of increased women-owned businesses and entrepreneurism. A third of Americans are in 2022 were actively seeking some kind of a side hustle, up from 24% in 2021. So there's lots of signals for positive things ahead. Not to ignore the headwinds, but how can you remove some of the what ifs in the uncertainties with a franchise? Well, as compared to doing something on your own, you're starting with brand recognition, a battle-tested business plan, plug and play marketing in many cases, ongoing guidance and support, operational technology and innovation, vendor relationships, employee recruiting and training support. The time, the trial and error, the cost, the time and energy that it would take to create these things on your own, or if you're buying an existing business, you may or may not have these elements in that. The advantage with a franchise is being able to get to scale much, much more quickly. And so that's what we are focused on. Today's program is really to bring your attention to three industries and categories in particular. That's pet care, home services, and wellness. I'm going to be introducing each of our guests to cover their particular industry, but just to kind of kick it off, not to steal their thunder, but pet care. Seattle's the #1 dog ownership city in America. 70% of, and Peter will correct me, I'm sure, 70%, I believe, is the number of American households have pets. And there's nothing is going to change in terms of their spending patterns, regardless of the economic conditions. Home services, for so many people, their home is their #1 most valuable asset. And investing in that asset during economic uncertainty gives people a sense of security. That was proven during the 2008 Great Recession. And then finally, wellness. This is a demographically driven category. Our population is aging, we're overweight, and health services are in increasing demand. So we'll hear about a physical therapy concept in that space. So with that in mind, I want to kick it off with my friend Peter Carlson from Pet Evolution, based in Minneapolis. Peter, your 5 minutes start now. And you're on mute.
Charlie, thank you. And Blair, thank you. Wonderful to be a part of this. And I'm just going to try to share my screen, right? So I can
Yes, sir.
get my PowerPoint up here. Give me just a second here, guys. And we'll share this. And we're going to go here. So sorry.
That's okay.
We're going to go here and give me just 1 second here. And hopefully, Charlie, you can start my 5 minutes once I get the technology rolling here.
Go up to slideshow, Peter.
That's, yeah. Let's see here. There we go. From the beginning, correct. All right, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, guys. Well, again, thank you. And thanks for the commitment to really take this first step with Charlie and Blair. These guys are experts in the industry in terms of being just a true added value for you. I've been blessed in being in the franchise industry for 22 years. I've owned 4 different franchise models. I also started out as a franchise consultant, just like Blair and Charlie. And today we are going to talk about Pet Evolution and our incredible brand that we are taking and rolling across this country. So as Charlie indicated, Seattle is the #1 dog city in the market. I mean, in the country.
That's what I thought.
That's unbelievable. And in fact, the state of Washington is the #2 state in the country for dogs per population. So Blair, you're going to benefit from that as well. In Oregon, just that Pacific Northwest is a very active area, right? And so there's so many dog and cat lovers. The regional development opportunity, which Charlie can talk to you and discuss more with you about, where you buy the franchise rights for the entire region, is available also in Oregon. So we can also talk more about that. So the thing I want you to really focus on today with Pet Evolution is, in this crazy pandemic, there were some blessings that came from it, including the dog industry and pet industry. And we'll talk a little bit more about it. But with Pet Evolution, I want you to understand that what is most ironic about it is this is not incubation or guessing by gosh, will this work? This is an 11-year model that in our flagship store in Woodbury, Minnesota last year, and this will be in our FDD, kicked out $2.4 million in revenue in a 3,400 square foot boutique. That is a monster number for a footprint of that size. So this is already a proven business model. We're just happening to take it across the country in the form of franchising. So the story behind this is the fact that I was a customer at Pet Evolution. I've been a dog lover my whole life. There is Leo. He is my standard poodle. And Leo was suffering from a nutritional deficiency, which I really didn't know at the time. And he was getting sick constantly. And I'd have to start him off on chicken and rice again, only to have it happen again. Well, I went into Pet Evolution. I was already a customer there, getting Leo groomed there. And a 22-year-old gal by the name of Kaylee took me by the hand and educated me on the fact that what I was feeding Leo was a product that was thought to be a moderate product in quality, but it frankly had, byproduct, fill, other things in the dog food that is not nutritious for dogs. So at Pet Evolution, the bedrock of our revenue stream, number one, in terms of our dog food, is all of our food is free of corn, wheat, soy, byproduct, artificial sweetener, and color. This particular brand, N&D, is manufactured in Italy, and I got Leo on that dog food through Kaylee, and it changed his life immediately. His symptoms subsided in terms of his hot spots. He stopped getting sick. His eye goop started to go away. His coat became healthier, and it completely transformed him from what he was struggling with earlier. This is our dedicated team of experts at Pet Evolution. Ryan Thiel's our co-founder. Ryan's got a knowledge base and a passion for this industry unlike anybody. I've been very blessed, as I said, in this industry, being in it for 22 years. I've owned 4 different franchise brands. Many of you have probably heard of the concept Massage Envy. My team grew the #1 sized region in the country for Massage Envy in Illinois with 47 locations, and grew that to the #1 brand. Fred Machaki, my COO and equity partner, was one of my franchisees with Envy. He also partnered with me on another franchise. And then Jay Osborne is Ryan's partner, Mike's father, being one of the co-founders, 2nd generation construction, really very, very successful guy. In showing this, our other staff and team, from training to operations to director of construction and real estate, Amber, our franchise development admin, Brooke Budke, our CMO, and Heather Rudolph, our senior VP of marketing. We've invested in an infrastructure in 22 months for this model, in awarding 13 regions and 20 additional franchise licenses. So our equity team has invested in making Pet Evolution really become the largest pet wellness brand in this country. You can see these are other brands that our franchisees and regional developers have come from. Everywhere from a brand as old and established and recognized as Dairy Queen, to FedEx, to Massage Envy, all kinds of different brands that you can see where people have come from every walk of life, including Amazon, who is the current regional developer who helps with training and support up in the Washington region. What is a regional developer? Well, a regional developer in franchising is somebody that invests in the entire region. It's typically by state. For Pet Evolution, it's the state of Washington, it's the state of Oregon. And what a lot of people don't understand is it's a larger play within franchising, where you take a little bit larger investment, you get the full franchise rights, and by doing so, you actually share in the royalty and you share in the franchise fee. So it's a way to build a wealth annuity and just build an entire empire. And what people don't understand is Papa John's Pizza, Subway, Massage Envy, Orange Theory, European Wax, Amazing Lash Studio, those were all regional developments, and we're growing via regional development. Charlie.
30-second warning, and I just want to tell the audience that all of each of our panelists are all going to be available for additional Q&A following, but we want to stick with our commitment to 30 minutes. So
No problem.
Peter, wrap it up if you could.
I can, yes. And so with this slide, you can see that this industry, Morgan Stanley deemed in April 2021 to be a $275 billion industry by 2030. Here we just show our registration in all 50 states and where we are plugged in currently.
Terrific. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Charlie.
Appreciate it very much. Yeah, this is this fits the definition of an emerging franchise, but I want to reiterate what Peter mentioned, that this is an 11-year time-tested model. So it's not a roll of the dice. There's a lot of really exciting things happening in this category and with this franchisor. The regional developer license has been awarded in Washington, but it is available in Oregon, and Blair would be the person to talk with if you're interested in the Oregon license. The first store in Washington is going to be opening on or about the 1st of April, and we're excited about that grand opening. So yeah, a lot of cool things happening there. I want to introduce Tim Holliday from Floor Covering International. Floor Covering International is our home services example today. And Tim, thanks. Yeah, you're welcome to share your screen if you have anything you want to share. Thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Blair and Charlie. And Peter, if you guys hear anything, my 3 dogs are outside my office door, so they very likely could be barking at the Amazon guy or the UPS guy or whoever, right? So happy to be here. Just want to give you kind of a quick rundown on who we are, and then kind of talk about, as Charlie and Blair talked about it initially, the industry that we're in is home services, and how does it fare in the current economy. But just from a standpoint, we are part of First Service Brands. First Service Brands is a multi-brand, multinational organization. We own 5 different franchise companies. Of course, Floor Coverings International, which is the organization I'm with, Paul Davis Restoration, CertaPro Painters, California Closets, and Pillar to Post are our 5 franchise brands. We are a publicly traded organization. So depending on if the line is red today or green today, so are we. It's on my home screen because it's important to me. We are green right now, at least we are right now. But that is our organization as a whole. But kind of zooming down into, and not for nothing, our CEO and president of our parent company is the chair of the International Franchise Association currently. So he's the current sitting chair. So our Floor Coverings International specifically, we've been around for 33 years. We are truly one of those legacy brands, if you want to say, that's been around for a long time. We've got our CEO, whose last name is Wood. I cannot make that up in a flooring business, but his last name is Wood. He was initially a CertaPro Painter franchisee, and so we've got a long-standing leadership. Many of them past 15 and 20 and 30 years in our organization. So been around a really, really long time. Kind of honing in specifically on who we are as an organization, Floor Coverings International, we are different than the traditional showroom scenarios. We are a mobile business. We are not a retail business. So Charlie mentioned finding opportunities in the chaos, or in the scenarios where there's a turmoil. We were already prepared for it when the pandemic hit. We were already a mobile business. We didn't have to worry about whether we were going to have people coming into our locations or not. We did hit a little bit of pause, but it was about 4 or 5 weeks, and then we boom, ran forward again. And in that year, we our franchisees went up 20% in revenue during 2020. But ultimately, just to kind of give it a perspective, instead of going to the stores and looking at some samples, maybe getting a sample and bringing it home and realizing it looks completely different under the lighting of your home versus the fluorescent lighting at a Home Depot or a Lowe's, we're bringing the vehicles to you in our mobile showroom. So one of these mobile showrooms right here, just for perspective, has 3,400 samples in it. So if the customer actually has a flooring need, the solution is in their driveway. And so we're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk to them. We're going to go out and meet with them in person, bring those samples right into their home, show it to them in their lighting. And you also mentioned it, Charlie, the demographics on female franchise owners. 40% of our franchisees are female, which is kind of a high statistic when you look at franchising. But this business is really geared for anybody that is likes the consultative conversation, having a conversation with the customer, but ultimately, as they grow and scale this business, is building a team of individuals. So our franchisees, and I'll share some of our financial data from our franchise disclosure document, they're looking at 3 to 5 employees, and they're at typically about a $2 million business. So our goal ultimately is to provide the best flooring experience in North America by far. If you're familiar with Net Promoter Score, we're about an 84 on the Net Promoter Score across the board. Nordstrom's, Apple's are in the 70s. So, which is still great, but we're far and away above that. Ultimately, we're looking for 250 franchisees that average $2 million in gross revenue. Just in putting it in perspective with where the economy sits today, and this is some data that we just shared at our convention in Cancun a couple of weeks ago, looking at the Dow over the previous years, and you'll see we took out 2020 because everybody wants to take out 2020. It was great for our business, but just from a statistical standpoint, if you look at the Dow from 2018 up through 2022, 21 was a bit of an anomaly. But if you look at 2022, it's still significantly better than 2019. So what we believe is that we will perform, 2023 will perform very similarly to 2022. In 2021, we added 50 new franchisees. Last year, we added 75. And not just on the corporate side, when we look at it, we're looking at our franchisees. They're talking about the opportunities in the turmoil. With a little bit of that inflation, actually gave a higher gross profit margin. They went from 43, 43, 45, and 45, and significant jumps in closing ratio, which is what this is. Meeting with a customer, 40% of the time they're selling a deal. They're selling the carpet, they're selling the hardwood. So our franchisees' revenue, as I mentioned, went from an average of the top 50% doing 1.5 million to doing 1.8 million over the last year. So we see, and we have reference back to 2008, where there was a significant jump, double-digit growth in our business during the 2008 recession. So not sure how I am on time, Charlie, but I think I'm getting right near the end. So I want to throw it back to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that very much. And again, I want to encourage our viewers that you will have opportunity to connect with our presenters and learn more about these categories and their businesses. Absolutely. So thank you, Timothy, really appreciate it. And then let's, I want to now transition to our wellness category speaker, Chris Hinker from Physical, a really exciting physical therapy concept, which has been, frankly, I think it was 2021, it was FranNet's most significant placement, more placements done with Physical than any other concept. So Chris, it's a real pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. And Charlie and Blair, we appreciate the candidates that are coming to us from FranNet. Just the support you guys give them really helps them to find the right fit. And for us, it helps to find some of the best candidates that are out there for this model, which may be a little biased, but we consider to be one of the best models out there. So let me tell you a little bit about it today. It is healthcare, and in the wake of the theme that we're speaking about, this is a business that is resistant to so many challenges. So let me start by introducing you with just a couple of fast facts here. And what you're going to see is that Physical Today actually is the world's largest physical therapy franchise. We have 503 locations open today. We've been around for about the same timeline as a few of the other folks that we're chatting with. This is 10 years, coming up on the term for some of our first franchisees. So began franchising in October of 2013 and have grown very rapidly. Have grown because of the demand for the service, because of the structure of the franchise support, and because of some wonderful franchisees who are doing all the hard work for us. And so for those of you maybe not super familiar with physical therapy, what I'll share with you is that we provide traditional services for those that have become injured and need to rehabilitate, and for those who have gone through a surgery that needs rehabilitation. That's what the world knows about PT. What they don't know is that one of our primary services that is not offered by our competitors is balance and vestibular rehabilitation. So therapy due to anything related to balance, concussion, post-concussion, stroke, post-stroke, progressive diseases like MS and Parkinson's, multifactorial situations, which basically means you have any number of things going on, but the result is high risk of a fall. So we are working with that population demographic that is just absolutely booming and expanding. And the most important aspect is that there really is no competitive entity in this space. This is a blue ocean space for us. So while we compete and win in traditional therapy, we simultaneously offer a service to which there really is very little competition, if any. And that makes up about really exciting. We insurance based in which is really unique. Find that almost every market is going to be successful as a potential store holding market because of the fact that insurance covers the majority of the expense for patients and customers. So we are offering opportunities. Always want to clarify this for folks that have no healthcare background. In fact, it is our preference. Not that you don't have a healthcare background, but having a clinical background actually sometimes can be a bit of a detriment, that you're distracted by your passion to treat and away from your passion to own. So let me just share with you a couple of quick facts that I think will be really interesting for you here. You talk about a leadership team, and our co-founder, pretty illustrious career, including founding numerous franchises that have gone on to become #1 in their academy or in their area in North America or the world. So when he looked at this industry, he was able to pull out some great opportunities, and I'll just share a couple of them with you here. It's a highly fragmented market in this space, but it's also a market that's growing rapidly. So we are already over a $50 billion industry, and we're going to continue to grow as an industry about 5.5% a year for the next several decades. The fragmented market means that there's no one household brand for therapy. I mean, think about it. I challenge you to come up with one that might not be physical, and you probably cannot because there isn't. The majority of the market, about 75%, is mom and pop. It is a business that for owners that are looking to be in the healthcare space without some of the potential hardships like being on call or high risk of insurance or lawsuit. Lifestyle hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, really high level of education in our employees. So you're not working with those that are coming at a lower level of education, typically represent a high turnover rate, right? People talk about recruitment as one of the challenges in the market. We're thriving right now. Therapists are therapists for life. They're doctors. They are not turning over. They're not difficult to manage. You're not herding cats as you might be in many other concepts or businesses. So it's a very accessible model financially. It's a model that kind of hits the three key elements. You do something that is unique and different and defensible. You also do what others are doing in a more efficient way, right? Build a better mousetrap. And then simultaneously, we have the economies of scale that a franchise has to be able to have great discounts. So I'll share a couple of other key facts as I kind of flash through some imagery to give you a look and feel of the brand. And what you'll find is that within our space, you're going to find rapid growth because of the simple fact that our owners love this business and thrive within it. We have the ability to help people. We are an essential business. We never need to close in pandemic or any other situation. We're a business that is going to allow those that aren't in healthcare to experience that type of growth. And as you can tell, when you dive in deeper with me and you really give me a chance to figure out what is it that you're looking for in business ownership, a lot of the folks that spend that time to evaluate the concept do end up moving forward. We've added about 150 new franchise unit rights every year over the last 2 years and expect that to continue. We're have some great opportunities and great leadership teams. So we encourage you to take a look at the opportunities here, and we'd be happy to work with anyone that has interest in helping patients and in entering into entrepreneurship. So happy to address that for anyone that has the interest. And I know that we're tight on time, so I'll just leave it at that, but excited to have our team chat with anyone with interest.
Chris, appreciate that so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So here we go. Let's see. Bear with me, Blair. Okay, here we go. Great examples. Bottom line, be open, be smart about how you approach a project of looking at business ownership. You have to do your homework. You have to do your research. And if you're going to find the right, BYOB is not bring your own beer. Find the right path for being your own boss. And it looks a little different for everybody. And it doesn't matter what's the right thing for everybody else. What matters is what is the right thing for you. So we have a process which Blair can quickly.
So what you want to do is, if you have interest in any of these franchises today, or quite frankly, just franchising in general, what the franchisors ask us to do is they do ask us to pre-qualify everybody to make sure on the surface level that it's a good match, both skill set wise, goal wise, what you're looking for in a business, financials, everything. So we do have an assessment tool that maybe some of you have taken. If so, we can pull up those results and we're good to go. But if you haven't taken our assessment, we will ask you to do it. It's a very helpful assessment. It's much like a DISC or Myers-Briggs, but in this case, it's specifically used for going into franchising. It only takes about 20 minutes to do. And Charlie and I can get you the link so that you can do it. We do have some other helpful booklets and other things. So one is called the Roadmap to Success. We can email this to you. It's a complete guidebook on how to properly research franchises, questions to ask the franchisors, questions to ask franchisees, and it'll lay out the entire research process for you, so you know what's ahead of you. So, like I said, the entire process usually takes about 2 to 3 months. So it is a little bit of a marathon, but we want to make sure that, like I said in the beginning, we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's, and doing everything correctly and making a good, safe, wise decision. So that is our 4-step research process kind of laid out for you. Each franchisor is kind of maybe a little bit different than the other, but in general, it is just about the same. And it's designed for you, like I said, to make a good, safe decision. So there is Charlie's and my contact information, or email. You can use, if you have your phone handy, you can use the QR code to get directly in contact with us. and you get that link to that assessment tool. Feel free to call or email Charlie and I to get the link to that assessment tool, or if you just have other questions about franchising or specific questions in regards to these 3 franchisors. So we apologize for going a little bit over the time limit. I want to thank Charlie and all 3 franchisors for joining us today. We hope for those of you that attended live and for those of you that are watching the recorded version, we hope you got something out of it and it was able to open your eyes in regards to franchising for 2023. So
We're here to help.
we are here to help. That's what our job is. So again, thank you, everybody. Welcome to 2023, and let's make it a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.